Hey everyone, Miss Dempsey here. This is a guide for round 4 of the Nations Cup. Let's get this started. For this 3-part turn, all you want to do is ease off on the throttle. So start off by going wide through this first part of the turn, ease off the throttle, which will lead you to the apex of the second part of the turn. That is when you start to accelerate, and if you do this right, it will take you to the apex of the third part of the turn. Your first braking point will be when you line up with the stack of hay that is on the left. You'll use just a little bit of braking just to bring yourself to the right side of the track. Use minimal throttle as you make your way through the turn and start to brake just before the path on the right ends. You'll brake hard for a moment, then ease off on the brakes to help the car rotate. Slowly start to accelerate so you don't make contact with the grass. For this turn, there's a subtle white mark on the ground that can be used as your brake marker. So just as you start to pass it, you'll brake hard for a short moment, then ease off on the brakes to let the car rotate around this turn. Make sure you don't make contact with the grass as that will really impact your exit speed. Your next braking marker is shortly after you pass the path that is on the left. You'll brake hard for a moment, then slowly ease off on the brakes. Ignore this first apex coming up right here. Ease off on the brakes even more, then slowly apply the throttle. You want to hit this apex, so the second apex is the one you want to hit, as you want to start to fully accelerate once you hit it. Then right after you pass the official stand on the left, you'll use some braking so you can start to make your way through the chicane. Eventually, ease off on the brakes and slowly transition over to the throttle. Just focus on getting the car to rotate and not hit the wall or the grass, and you'll be good to go. Let's finish up this lap and we'll go ahead and talk about the strategies. So the SFR racing concept is actually an N400 car, so what you want to do is go to home, hit the garage, then go on the upper left hand corner to select the filters, go on over to categories, then choose N400 since that's where it will be hanging out at if you haven't modified it yet. So change on over to that car, go to car settings, and go to the power level as you want to buy all 3 power levels. It will cost you a bit of mileage points, which you can easily get by literally just driving around, and bring the power ratio all the way down until the little box up here says N200. So once you do that, whenever you enter a practice lobby for this race, the actual race itself or its time trial, the BOP will automatically be adjusted and the game won't be mad at you. But anyways, going on over to the qualifying strategies, if people in your lobby are fuel burning, just go ahead and join them. If people in your lobby are just going for it, then of course join them. So what's interesting is that if you are to just go for it, you can actually get 3 qualifying laps out of it. So you'll get your out lap, which is the one that you're seeing right now, and then you'll have 3 laps to try to get a good qualifying time. In this one, okay, I don't know what just happened there. In this one, I just did the fuel burning and I was able to get 2 qualifying laps out of it. And honestly, I think the fuel burning is a little bit too slow. So I eventually ended up getting impatient and I was only able to burn 10% of the fuel. If you really want to burn a heck of a lot of fuel, then you'll potentially have to end up doing another fuel burning lap. So what will be your first qualifying lap will just be another fuel burning lap, but at that point you're risking running out of qualifying time and not being able to actually get a qualifying time. So in my opinion, I think it's better to just go out there and just go for it. But once again, this is if everyone in your lobby is just going out there just trying to get as many qualifying laps, so just make sure you're not the odd one out. So when it comes to the Slipstream, it is set to weak for both the qualifying and the actual race itself, And even though it says weak, the Slipstream is still really darn strong. So you really want to try to find someone that you can get behind, as your car will go noticeably faster and will help you get a lot better of a qualifying time. So just to show how strong the Slipstream is, even though it is set to weak, I'm right behind this person and I'm eventually going to end up going right behind his bumper. At this point, we're both accelerating as fast as we can, and I am quickly getting really close to him. And it's actually going to end up being a problem for me because now at this point, I'm going to be too close to him, which means I'm going to have to slow down just a little bit more so I don't end up punting him into Pluto. So when you do your qualifying, just make sure you have a lot of space between yourself and the car in front of you, so that way when the Slipstream kicks in, you don't end up right behind their bumper when you're halfway through the lap. So we're going to end the qualifying session with a 130.1. We could obviously go faster than that if we didn't get bunched up in the traffic. Someone's going to get a 129.5, and I think it's possible to go even faster than that, especially under the Slipstream. So is a 128 possible? I think so. So if you do some fuel burning, expect 2 qualifying laps, but if you just go out there and go for it, then it's possible to get up to 3 qualifying laps. For the race strategy itself, it's an easy no stop. You don't have to worry about fuel at all, and for the tires, depending on the car you're using, you don't have to worry about it at all. As of the recording of this video, the SFR Racing Concept is looking like it'll be the top car of choice for this race, as it is incredibly gentle on its wheels, so tire wear will barely be an issue at all, and it is super easy to navigate through the turns in this car. This car just likes to glide through these turns. It easily flows through the chicane and that first turn, which is pretty much comprised of 3 parts. It'll just go through that super easily, and it'll give you a bit of peace of mind. Its only downfall is its lack of top speed. So if someone is in a faster car like the Porsche 993, which I'll mention in a bit, then that car is going to give you a bit of trouble. But when you have to go through these turns, you'll be able to reel him back in, or if he's behind you, you'll be able to space out that gap a little bit more. But once again, because the Slipstream is set to weak, in which in reality is even stronger than when the Slipstream is set to real, it's going to be really hard to break off any car that is behind you. So you'll want to hope that the cars behind you start getting in a massive fight, because if they get in a massive fight, then obviously they're going to go much slower, which increases the chance that you'll be able to break away from them. And if that happens, just try to work together with the car ahead of you, unlike what you see here, because I'm getting a little bit impatient, so I'm just going to go ahead and fight this guy. So if you're going to fight with someone for position, make sure it is very quick, because the longer that you battle with someone, the slower you're going to be throughout different parts of the track, and those behind you will catch up to you, and those ahead of you will get away from you, so make it fast. So now that we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the Porsche 993, this car is a bullet when you're going through the high-speed sections. However, introduce this car to a couple of turns and this thing is going to get wild. So you're going to have to do quite a bit of counter steering, as you see here, and it's going to happen a lot more, especially towards the end of the race. So while you'll be giving the SFR Racing Concept players a hard time when you're going through these high-speed sections, they're going to give you a hard time once you go through these turns. And don't forget that this car is a rear engine, rear-wheel drive, which kind of gives it the reason why this car kind of just likes to go crazy when it goes through these turns. Now what's interesting is that these cars got a similar total time. The SFR Racing Concept was a little bit faster, barring all the incidents and shenanigans that happened in that practice race. But it's still going to do pretty good here, and it'll do even better if you're constantly under the Slipstream. And I can see why people are choosing or thinking about choosing the SFR Racing concept. It's super easy on its tires, really easy to handle, especially when you go through a turn like this. And it's stable. You don't have to do that much counter steering at all, unlike in this car where you have to think about counter steering the moment that this car wants to do something silly. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this guide. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.